Hello everyone, my name is Alexander Thorns, but you can call me Sasha, and welcome to the video that started because of a comment. A few weeks ago I got this response on a small discussion I was having about bug types being unloved on the first regeneration. And it was kind of ironic because it tied up with a video I was working on at the time, circling right back to the video you are watching. Are bug types really that much better in Generation 3 compared to their introduction in Generation 1? Well, I set myself the challenge of finding out, by attempting to complete a Mono-Bug Nuzlocke challenge in Pokemon Ruby by using only bug types that were introduced in Generation 1, and I am calling it a vintage lock. So, how is this gonna work? Well, the idea, in my opinion, is interesting, to see if the original bug types have what it takes to conquer all, and it's Pokemon League. But the problem is that none of the first bug types introduced were obtainable in Ruby Sapphire or Emerald, except for Pinsir that can be caught at a Safari Zone, on all 3 games by the way. This meant I needed some help figuring this out, and after some time theory crafting to come up with a plan on how to acquire said encounters, I got a text from some guy claiming to be Uncle Jimtendo that provided me with 30 copies of Pokemon Ruby with the original bug types already in the PC box. Thanks Mr. Jimtendo, but isn't 30 kind of an overkill? And why do I feel the presence of the overshadowing over me? With that conundrum resolved, I needed a plan on how I was going to add them to the team, and I ultimately decided on encounter order from the original games they appeared in, meaning Caterpie and Weedle are my starter duo, since originally they were obtained before the first gym, Paras can be added before the second gym, and now I hit a wall again, because technically, in order for you to acquire the remaining encounters, all you really need was the ability to wood cut outside of battle, meaning after the second gym. And yes, you can reach Fuchsia City after the second gym in the original games, since the cut tree in Route 9 is the only thing blocking your path. But I don't want to add the last 3 encounters after the second gym, so I decide to go into Capture Earth for the next 3 gyms. This all means I can add Pinsir after the second gym, since you can get one at the Celadon City Game Corner, Venomoth after the 4th gym, since you get it at Route 12 after waking up Snorlax, and Scyther after the 5th gym, since I already got Pinsir for my Game Corner encounter, and the only other place Scyther can be caught is at the Safaris on the original games. With all of that resolved, I can boot up my game and start this challenge, so let's find out together if the original 6th bug type got what it takes to face a Pokemon Ruby Vintage Nuzlocke challenge. Game starts and I name my character Shinobu and proceed to hop off the truck and arrive at Little Root Town, where I can meet the professor of this region, Birch, and receive a starter, and I pick Trico so that my rival gets Torchic for a harder challenge. Which reminds me that also the reason why I picked Pokemon Ru is so I faced Team Magma instead of Team Aqua, given that the Team Aqua leader actually has a teammate in Sharpedo, a Water Dark type that is weak to Bug, and Maxi on the other hand has a Camera plus his Ace, a Fire Ground type, so I just seemed like a better challenge. After collecting my Trico, I can immediately deposit and get my Caterpie and Weedle out of the box and face Brandon at Route 103, defeating it with Weedle because Poison Sting poisoned the poor chicken. Then I can make my way onto Petalburg City, evolving Weedle into a Kakuna and Caterpie into Metapod in the process, and gotta love these early evolutions. And after teaching Wally how to catch Pokemon, I can go into Petalburg Woods, getting another evolution with Kakuna turning into a Beedrill. Soon after, I get my first encounter with Team Magma and easily defeat them, leading into my next evolution, with Metapod achieving his final stage into a Butterfree. With my 2 starters fully evolved, I can arrive at Rustboro City, location of the first gym challenge, where I need to face Roxanne, a rock-type specialist, and unlike Brock, that has 2 rock-type without rock moves on the generation he was introduced, although his Onix does get Rock Tomb in the remakes, both of Roxanne's Pokemons get Rock Tomb and Rock Throw, making this a very hard challenge. But there is one way out, because after evolving, Butterfree gets access to Confusion and Sleep Powder, which is the key to winning this battle. However, I have to rely on some luck to get the job done. Battle starts and it's Butterfree against Geodude, and I immediately put it to sleep with Sleep Powder. that has accuracy boosted by Compound Eyes, Butterfree's ability, and take it out after 2 napping turns with Confusion. Next is Nosepass, and I repeat the procedure, putting it to sleep with Sleep Powder and sliming it with a Confusion that doesn't deal nearly enough damage, as I was expecting, and after 2 turns and 45% HP done, Nosepass wakes up and nails my Butterfly with a Rock Throw, leaving it at 7 HP. Butterfree can safely put it back to sleep, and this allows Butterfree to connect with another Confusion for 20% damage and confusing the Nose Pebble, which is amazing since it eats himself when he wakes up, so Butterfree can safely put it back to sleep and finish it with a final Confusion. I am very happy to say that this only took me 2 tries. I was very lucky. The only reason why I got that is because Nosepass went for Rock Throw instead of Rock Tomb, otherwise that would have been another KO and another reset. With the first stream completed, I need to face Team Magma again, retrieve this guy's goods and this old man's Wingle named Pico, which leads into a meeting with Mr. Stone that gives me a letter to deliver to his son Steven, so after collecting my next team member, a Paras, I can hitch a ride with the old man onto Drewford, where I can explore Granite Cave, find Steven and deliver the letter, giving me access to Slateport City, where I defeat all the trainers at the beach, for preparation onto the next stream, where I need to face Brawly, the fighting type expert. Contrary to Roxanne, there isn't much luck or preparation involved for the next battle, because Brawly's team is very weak against bug type, especially if they are carrying a psychic type move just like Butterfree, that after clutching the last win can come in and defeat Matchup with 2 confusions, with it bulking up after the first one. Makohita takes 3 confusions, but that's because Brawly healed after the first one, but only landed a sand attack, so 2 more confusions do the trick and grant me the victory for the second badge. Next, I can collect my new team member, a Pinsir, and backtrack onto Slateport City, where I deliver the Devon goods to this guy and stop Team Magma again, getting the TM for Thief in the process. And trust me, this is the important part, the TM, not Team Magma, they are kinda everywhere in this game, it's incredible. With the Museum Madness taken care of, I need to face my rival before the next stream challenge, and this battle can be a run-ender given that he already has a combo scan with access to Ember and Peck that can definitely destroy my team, but I have no other choice, so I head into battle. He leads with a Wailmer and I lead Butterfree, immediately going for a Compound Ice Sleep Powder and Confusion combo, only for Wailmer to wake up next turn but choose to use Splash, so I can put it back to sleep again next turn and defeat it with 2 more confusions. Combustion is next, and after missing the first Sleep Powder and taking a big Ember for around 35% damage, I can connect with a second one and hit it with Confusion, this time being super effective as Combustion is part fighting type, landing the KO after 2 turns. My rival's last Pokemon is Shroomish, and because the grass immunity of Sleep Powder only came after Generation 6, I can put it to sleep on the second turn because first turn we both missed and Sleep Powder and Leech Seed failed to connect, but after Shroomish is taking a power nap I can connect with a Confusion for around 30% and Shroomish wakes up failing to connect a Stun Spore, and I can repeat the process to defeat it with 2 more Confusions. Not gonna lie to you, Butterfree is putting in the work this time around, completely overshadowing the other bug type, even Pinsir, making me love this Pokemon even more, as its early game presence is great on this run. However, my Shining Star won't be very useful against the next gym, as Watson focuses on Electric type Pokemon, and this is the real run-ender Generation 3, because its Magneton was a bitch to Theory Craft around, and I believe I got a plan that might work with a little luck. So after teaching Wally a lesson about losing, I can defeat every available trainer, acquiring the HM for Rock Smash in the process, and challenge Watson for a battle. He leads Magnemite and I go for Pinsir, clicking Rock Smash to fish out some defenses drop, but only dealing around 45% damage without a drop and taking a Thunder Wave in return. That connects and paralyzes my Pinsir, but it's cured by a Hell Person Berry. This means I can safely go for another Rock Smash, leaving Magnemite in the red and taking another Thunder Wave in return. This one I won't be able to shake it off, so I just keep clicking Rock Smash, getting a defense drop on the turn Watson heals, and after dodging a Supersonic, Pinsir defeats the Magnet with a final Rock Smash. Next is Voltorb and I swap onto Butterfree, taking a Sonic Boom upon entering and landing a Sleep Powder next turn, after taking a Spec for a big chunk, leaving my Butterfree with 22 HP remaining, but I press on, defeating Voltorb with 3 confusions without it waking up. Next, it's Watson's ace, Magneton, and I swap to Paras that is 4 times resistant to the incoming shockwave, taking it with ease, allowing me to go for a stun spore, failing the first turn and getting paralyzed in return from Thunder Wave, but connecting the next turn after Magneton misses a Supersonic. And yes, I can paralyze Magneton because the electric immunity to stun spore only came after generation 6 as well. Now I can swap onto Pinsir, taking a Sonic Boom upon entering for 20 HP, and can start rock smashing against it, getting a defense drop on the first one, after not dealing as much damage as I was expecting, with Magneton being fully paralyzed, which repeats the next turn, leaving Magneton in the red, with Watson healing only for Magneton to get another defense drop, and after missing another Supersonic, the triple Magnet falls to a final rock smash, giving me the win. That was incredibly lucky, which goes to show you how unpredictable a Pokemon battle can get, since the luck can always swing both ways. But you won't hear me complaining, as I get the third badge. This allows me to use Rock Smash out of bat, meaning I can head on to Route 111, where Paras evolves into a Parasect, my favorite bug type from Generation 1. Now I need to make a big trip to take care of some lore related stuff, without nothing major happening, so I'll just quickly recap it. After Route 112, I need to pass to the fiery path to reach Fall Harbor Town and collect the TM for Dig for my Parasect. Next I need to reach Meteor Falls and witness a discussion between Team Aqua and Team Magma. By listening in, I learned that Team Magma are at Mount Chimney up to no good. So I head that way, but I take the other way around, getting to the south exit of Meteor Falls, where I can access Rust Burrow, then Vandenturf Town after getting the HM for Strength. Then back at Mauville I can go north, and next to the entrance for Fiery Path I can take the lift onto Mount Chimney. In there I need to defeat every low level grunt until I can face Maxi for our first battle. He leads my Tiana and I go for Butterfree so we can soak the Intimidate and put the puppy to sleep with a sleep powder. Then I switch in Pinsir, but my Tiana immediately wakes up and fires a sand attack, lowering my Beetle's accuracy, but I try my luck anyways and choose Revenge, which connects after another sand attack for around 75% damage. Apparently both me and Maxi are on the same wavelength because we both swap Pokemon, me going for Butterfree and the Team Magma leader going for Golbat, which actually works in my favor, because I can put the bat to sleep after dodging a Supersonic and start clicking Confusion, and after 2 of them Maxi heals Golbat, meaning 2 more deal with it, Golbat waking up on the final turn to use Wing Attack for around 65% damage, but falling to the next Confusion. Camerupt is up next, and since I'm sure Butterfree can outspeed it, I fire a Sleep Powder and thankfully connect, so I can safely swap Pinsir in and start clicking Rock Tomb, taking Camerupt down to 25% after 2 and having it wake up, only going for a Focus Energy. Since my Pinsir is very healthy, I click Revenge that takes the Camel down after using a weak magnitude 6. My Tiana comes back in, and this is where I realize my Pinsir has Hyper Cutter, meaning its attack can't be lowered by Intimidate. Which is nice, actually. After a weak bite, Pinsir defeats the dog and Maxi with another Revenge. With Team Magma defeated, I need to focus on the challenge ahead, because after the Jagged Path is Leverage Town, the location of my next gym challenge. Against Flannery, the Fire-type specialist. Flannery and her Torkoal is a run-ending threat against this team, and I only have one way out, but it's a very risky one. Battle starts, and luckily for me, the problem is only Torkoal, since both Slugma fall to 2 Rock Tombs from Pinsir. Then, when Torkoal comes in, I swap Butterfree, and this is the make or break moment for this battle, because I need Torkoal to miss an overhit on the switch. That is the only way I might get a fighting chance. Let me intervene for a moment. This challenge was supposed to be my first video on the channel, and I wanted to start this out with a fairly hard Nuzlocke, but I severely underestimated how hard this challenge was going to be. My point is, to defeat Flannery I had to reset 14 times, meaning I had to beat Roxanne 16 times and Watson 14. Luckily, I was actually always able to defeat Watson on my first try. This run has taken me 9 months to complete. Well, 4, because after 2 months of trying and 6 resets, I scrapped it until I got a comment I mentioned earlier that reminded me of it, and I gave it another crack leading to this video. Luckily for my viewers, you only get to watch the winning run. Getting back into it, on run 17, Torkoal finally misses the overhit, allowing Butterfree to connect with the Sleep Powder, so I can switch Pinsir in safely and connect with 3 Rock Tombs for the KO. Finally, I am free from this massive wall in the run, and after being lucky with that miss and the sleeping turns, I can collect my 4th badge. I can finally move on in the game and backtrack all the way into Petalburg City because the 5th gym leader is none other than the main character's father, Norman, the normal expert. But before I face him in battle, I get a new team member in Venonat that during the preparations for the gym evolved into a Venomoth. With that taken care of, I go into battle. Norman leads with a Slacking and I lead Parasect, going for a Spore to put the high base stat monster to sleep, before taking a Yawn, which doesn't matter at all since my plan was always to swap in Pinsir. While Slacking is still asleep, Pinsir goes for a Rock Smash to snag a defense drop, but don't get it, so I swap into attack mode and click Brick Break, and apparently Pinsir and I synced up because my beautiful Beetle connects a critical hit Brick Break to bring the monster down. Vigoroth is next and I go for the same strategy minus Parasect, meaning I click Rock Smash to see if I can get a defense drop on Vigoroth, and luckily this time I get it, and after taking a weak slash, Pinsir can use Brick Break to bring the now -1 defense Vigoroth down. Bringing in Norman last Pokemon, another Slacking, and after failing to get another defense drop, Pinsir takes a big facade to the face, forcing me to swap for Butterfree on the turn. Slacking is loafing around because of its ability. Next turn I pray that Butterfree can survive one facade and connect with a Sleep Powder, and my prayers are answered since that is exactly what happened. So I can bring Pinsir back in while Slacking stays asleep, so Pinsir can use Brick Break twice while Slacking wakes up on the second turn, but it was its Loathing turn, so it didn't matter as it goes down, giving me the victory. I actually got that on first try, but this battle was made harder because of my own stupidity. Because I thought Pinsir's Strength, while being under the belief that I needed Toxic for this battle. You need Strength to acquire Toxic at a Fiery path. Mean I couldn't teach Pinsir Bulk Up without sacrificing Rock Tomb, since I can't reach the move deleter just yet. So yeah, if Pinsir knew Bulk Up, I could just use Slacking's Loathing turns to set up and wipe Norman, but that wasn't a possibility, but I still managed to get the win. Next I can collect my final team member, for this team a Scyther, which is what I would have said if I didn't need an HM Mule for the next section, because I need something that can learn Surf to reach the next spot in our journey, the Weather Institute at round 119, that's being attacked by Team Magma, which Pinsir easily deals with. Next is my rival Battle Brandon, that can be a potentially hard battle, but Pinsir doesn't really know that. And it can defeat Wailmer with True Strengths, taking a weak Water Pulse in return, Combusken with 1 Rock Tomb and 1 Brick Break, taking a Sand Attack that caused a Mist and a weak Pack, and Shroomish goes down to 2 Strange. Even after my Pinsir fails the first one, the little bud retaliates with 2 laughable headbutts. So not much in the danger department came from this battle. Which allows me to go into Fortress City for the 6th gym challenge, and this time against Winona, the Flying type expert, a very scary type to face. But now that I have access to Fortress City, I can also reach Lily Cove City and I get access to the move delete, allowing me to remove Rock Smash from Pinsir and teaching it Bulk Up, giving it a setup move that might be the answer to this battle. We head into battle, it's Pinsir vs Swallow. I don't want to risk this bird setting up with double team, so I immediately click Rock Tomb and connect through the double team, leaving Swallow in the red. This prompts Winona to heal up, and I'm going to intervene again, to explain to you guys my setting up rules. I'm not a fan of just setting up to +6 and wiping the match, to me that isn't fun to do and even less fun to watch, so I crafted some limitations. I can only use setup moves once per individual battle, meaning in this scenario Pinsir is facing Swallow, I can use 1 Bulk Up, but in order to use another one, Swallow needs to be defeated. Or if my opponent heals. I mean, if he deserves to heal, I deserve to use the turn setting up. For me, this is one way to remove some power from the setting up and making it a little bit more interesting. Getting back into the battle, on a turn Winona heals, Pinsir goes for another Bulk Up, allowing for a now +2 Rock Tomb to take the KO. Pelipper is next, and after surviving a Rock Tomb in a red and hitting a weak Water Gun, I take this opportunity to use another Bulk Up, taking a very weak Aerial Ace since Pinsir has its defenses at +3, and defeat it in the next turn with a Strength. Winona's Ace is next, this one being an Altaria that simply falls to a Rock Tomb. But the real threat is the last Pokemon, a Skarmory, a very strong defensive wall. There is a reason why I needed Bulk Up to defeat this gym, because even with Pinsir at +3, it needs 3 Brick Breaks to get the Steel Bird down, eventually doing it after taking 2 Aerial Aces and Winona healing, but I got my 6th badge. With 6 badges in hand, I need to go into Mount Pyre to defeat Team Magma once again, then Slateport City where the same guys steal a submarine, which is all I have to do before going back to Lily Cove to enter the Team Magma hideout and defeat everyone in there, only for them to run away at the end with a stolen submarine. But all this mess allows me to use Surf to reach the location of the next gym, Moss Deep City. Here I need to face the twin gym leaders Tate and Liza, the psychic specialists that use 2 rock and psychic type Pokemons in a double battle. On a side note, Beedrill finally got some time to shine, as it was great against all the gym leaders in contrast to the rest of the game, because let me tell you, Beedrill is terrible in an Owen setting. I was severely surprised by that. But then again, maybe I was just looking at it with my nostalgia goggles. Anyway, I head into battle and Tate and Liza only have 2 Pokemon, being Solrock and Lunatone, and I send out Pinsir and Parasect. I click Spore with Parasect on Solrock to stop him from using a fire type moves, since it does carry Flamethrower and likes to set up the sun, which is what it does since Pinsir goes for a Bulk Up, Lunatone goes for a Calm Mind and Solrock uses Sunny Day before Parasect connects with a Spore. On the next turn I can use Bulk Up again since Pinsir is facing 2 opponents, but that gets shut down by Lunatone that puts Pinsir to sleep with an Hypnosis, but Parasect puts it to sleep with another Spore, and I just love Spore, this move is great. With Parasect being the only awake Pokemon in the battlefield, it can defeat Solrock with 2 Giga Drains before Lunatone wakes up and goes for a Calm Mind, taking a weak Giga Drain in return since it's at +2 special defense, but Pinsir wakes up the following turn and destroys the moon with a +2 Brick Break, giving me the next badge. I got my 7th badge and Parasect got a moment to shine in a double battle, not bad. With 7 badges I can use Dive, which takes me into the Seafloor Cavern where I get to the climax of the Team Magma story. I know I chose Pokemon Ruby for the challenge of facing another fire type in Cameron, but against Maxi, Pinsir gets a bulk up after taking advantage of the healing turn because Mightyena was put in a red after a Brick Break. So Mightyena gets deleted by a Brick Break, only connecting a Scary Face and a takedown combo. Camerupt falls to a newly thought Earthquake, and Crobat lands a wing attack but falls to a crit Rock Tomb. So not much of a challenge there. After Maxi tries to use the blue orb on the red Pokemon, the weather gets fucked and it falls onto this 10-year-old with a pocket full of bugs to fix it. So I dive underwater again until I reach Sutopolis City, where the Cave of Origin is located, and I come face to face with a continent creator Grounded, and I click Run. Yeah, this challenge has been hard enough already, and I don't need a god to add more resets, so I just use Joseph's Joestar's secret technique of running away to save the day. With the crisis averted, I can challenge Wallace, the final gym leader, and he specializes in water types. Against this lead Love Disc, I send Pinsir, and after missing a Sweet Kiss, Pinsir can set up a Bulk Up, then delete the Tiny Heart with a Brick Break. Next in is Whiscash, and after trading setup moves with Pinsir bulking up and Whiscash using Amnesia, I can fire a Brick Break that it surprisingly survives with 35% HP remaining, but just goes for another Amnesia, meaning it goes down with another Brick Break. Celio is next, and given that Pinsir has yet to take any damage, I can click Bulk Up again to bring my Beetle to +3, taking a weak Aurora Beam in return, bringing the Fat Seal down with another, this time super effective, Brick Break. Seeking is next, and we trade up setup again, with Seeking going for Rain Dance and Pinsir clicking Bulk Up, but the next turn Seeking has its Swift Swim ability activated and outspeeds, landing a decently powerful rain boosted Water Pulse that leaves Pinsir at 50% HP, but goes down to another Earthquake. Milotic Wallace's Ace is next, and it's the reason why I needed to bulk up so much, so now at +4, one Earthquake defeats the majestic Sea Serpent easily and safely, because that snaky boy can be a pain to deal with. With the world saved from Eternal Sunlight and the 8 badges collected, all I have left to do is reach Victory Road, teach Wally another lesson at the end, and arrive at Evergrande City, the location of the Pokemon League. Now it's preparation phase before the league, where I can get everyone up to level and teach them their final moves, as well as finding every useful item. This team's final form is comprised of Pinsir holding a Soft Sand with Earthquake, Brick Break, Rock Tomb and Swords Dance, with the latter being an improved version of Bulk Up. This final version of Pinsir is Impish Nature. Parasect with Spore, Dig, Slash and Giga Drain holding a Quick Claw and rocking Assassinature. My naughty Scyther that hasn't gotten much time in the spotlight, although during the Red and Trainer battles it is a beast. It's holding a Silver Powder for now and has Quick Attack, Wing Attack, Swords Dance and Fury Cutter. Venomoth, that is holding a Twisted Spoon and has access to Psybeam, only learning Psychic at level 51, Protect, Sludge and Toxic, and it is a quirky nature. My jolly Beedrill with a Sylph Scarf rocking Twin Needle and ever Return and Focus Energy. This is the only way I saw Beedrill being somewhat useful, with a high crit based Sylph Scarf boosted Return, but I don't expect much from this guy. Finally, Butterfree with Mild Nature holding a Spell Tag and Psybeam, Sleep Powder, Silver Wind and Shadow Tag in his arsenal. In hindsight, I just realized I forgot to teach Butterfree the TM for Psychic. My bad. With these 6 prepared, I head into the League Challenge, starting with Sydney, the Dark-type specialist. And there isn't much to say about it, because against this lead Mighty Enda, I send out Pinsir and set up with 1 Swords Dance, taking a surprisingly damaging crunch in return, but to no avail, because at +2, Pinsir can one-shot every member of his team with Brick Break. Phoebe the Ghost Expert is next, and against her lead Dusclops I send out Pinsir, and after setting up a Swords Dance in exchange for a Confuse Ray, I decide to risk it and click Earthquake, passing through the confusion and connecting it only for Dusclops to survive on a Slither and connect a Shadow Punch for around 10% damage, so not much. Next, Phoebe full restores and Pinsir snaps out of confusion, finishing the job with a single Earthquake. Next, the first Bayonet comes in, and since Pinsir is at +2 and still healthy, I have nothing to lose, clicking Earthquake, getting the one-shot. This fate is shared by the incoming Sableye and the second Bayonet, opening the way for the last Dusclops to hit the field, and although it survives the first Earthquake, only retaliates with a weak Ice Beam, and falls to another one, giving me the victory. Glacier is next, and with her specializing in Ice types, you can guess where this is going, because after setting up a Swords Dance against the first Glalie, Pinsir can delete it, taking a fairly strong Ice Beam in return that leaves Pinsir with 55% HP remaining. Celio is next, and I get another Swords Dance up because I'm not sure I can one-shot her ace with only a +2 and take a Surf for it, bringing Pinsir down to 20% HP remaining. However, I am unfazed by this, because at +4 Pinsir can one-shot this Celio and then with a Brick Break. Same thing goes for the second Glalie and Glacier's ace Walrein, giving me another easy victory. Drake is the final member of the Elite Four that I need to defeat, and my plan against him is the same one I've been using but with a twist. On his lead Shelgon I send Parasect, clicking Sport in exchange for a weak Dragon Claw, before putting the Dragon Egg to sleep. This allows me to swap into Scyther because I still plan to use the Swords Dance tactic, however for this battle the speedier Scyther is better, since the big adventure that Pinsir has got in ground and fighting type moves mean nothing in this battle. Luckily for me, Shelgon not only stays asleep for 3 turns, but after the Swords Dance, Scyther nails a crit wing attack for the KO. Flygon is next and it survives the +2 wing attack on a Sliver, casting a Sandstorm in return, but on the next turn take advantage of his healing turn to use another Swords Dance, for a KO next turn with Wing Attack. The second Flygon is in, and unlike its brother, it doesn't get to cast any spells as it falls to a single Wing Attack. Salamence is next, and after lowering my dual-wielding Mantic's attack by 1 stage, leaving it at +3, proceeds to survive a Wing Attack in the red and fire a Flamethrower, bringing my Scyther's Reign of Destruction to an end. And I know, I should have set up another Swords Dance against the second Flygon. I knew it, and now it's too late, as I was hoping for a deathless run. After all this effort, but Scyther had to make the final sacrifice. I can't grieve for long though, because there is still a Salamence on the field, and I send in Venomoth after Salamence. It's a Health Citrus Berry, which in this case was useful because it took him out of healing range, and Venomoth can outspeed and revenge kill Salamence with a Psychic, avenging his fallen friend. I'm still not out of the woods yet, since Drake has another member on his team with Altaria, and against the Cloudbird I decide to apply a Toxic Stall technique. As on the turn Altaria goes for a Dragon Dance, I click Toxic followed by a Protect for more toxic damage, and Sludge Bomb to whittle it down on the turns I can't use Protect. This is going great, but I start to get worried about losing my Moth to a +1 Aerial Ace, so I swap in my tanking Pinsir. The thing is, 1. Drake's Altaria does not know Aerial Ace, so even at +1, Takedown couldn't really kill Venomoth without a crit. 2. On the sweet, Drake uses a full restore, meaning all this work Venomoth put in was for nothing. All of this means that switch was unnecessary and actually put me at a disadvantage, because now Pinsir is facing a +1 attack and speed Altaria. I need to do better research. So I go for the Swords Dance to even out the playing field, taking a Dragon Breath that obviously paralyzes my Beetle, but Pinsir manages to set up the Swords Dance. Next turn gets fully paralyzed and takes another Dragon Breath. And finally, Pinsir misses the Rock Tomb, taking yet another Dragon Breath, leaving my strongest member brutalized at 20% HP remaining, and no damage dealt to show for it. With Pinsir weak and embarrassed, it leaves the field Beedrill to come in on another Dragon Dance and can get a return in after Altaria goes for another Dragon Dance, leaving this weird dragon at +3. But that's part of my makeshift plan, because now I'm expecting it to go for a damaging move, so I click Endeavor, because if Beedrill survives on low health, Endeavor will put Altaria at the same HP, and if Beedrill dies I get a free switch in. That's the plan. And Beedrill survives a takedown on 40 HP and Endeavor leaves Altaria at the same value. Now I swap Butterfree in on a failed takedown and fire a Sleep Powder to put it to sleep after taking a takedown that leaves my Butterfree at 40 HP as well, which is very ironic. But with Altaria sleeping, my Butterfly can finish the battle with one Psybeam. So that switch was insanely dumb. But I got to showcase some strategies for you guys, although at the price of a team member. There is only one challenge remaining, and it is Steven, the Steel Expert and the Owen League champion. So we head into battle with Steven sending out a big problem, Skarmory, and I send out Parasect, getting nailed by a very powerful aerial ace. That Parasect survives on 32 HP remaining, but connects with a Spore. This means I can switch in Pinsir, and for 3 turns Skarmory is asleep, I can set up with a Swords Dance and connect with 2 Brick Breaks. That barely missed a KO, prompting Skarmory to wake up and go for a Toxic. That actually missed. Next turn I know that Steven will heal, so I set up with another Swords Dance, and now at +4 Brick Break is still not a one-shot, because this bird is just that tanky, but only goes for a Spike after surviving, meaning another Brick Break deals with it finally. Claydol is next, and this tanky boy takes a Brick Break at 55% HP remaining and goes for a Reflect, and for a champion Steven does not know his moves effects, because next turn Brick Break destroys the Reflect, leaving Claydol with a Slither of health and connecting with a Nation Power that obviously gives it an Omni Boost. With all of Claydol's stats boosted, I decide to set up one final time with Swords Dance, tanking into its maximum power at +6, taking 2 Ancient Powers for setting up, and finishing off Claydol with a final Brick Break, leaving my Pinsir at 49 HP remaining. But that doesn't really matter, because at +6 Pinsir can outspeed and one-shot Cradily, Armaldo, Aggron, and Steven's ace Metagross with 1 Earthquake. And I did it. After 17 attempts I finished Pokemon Ruby Nuzlocke challenge using only bug types from Generation 1. What a run this was, seriously, I don't think I've ever attempted such a hard and interesting run. Pinsir was a standout MVP on this run, almost soloing most of the gyms or playing a major role in their defeat and giving the performance of a lifetime at the Pokemon League. As for the other members, everyone held up their ground successfully minus Beedrill. That was this standout worst team member, only being really useful against Psychic types, which is why it shined in the 7th gym against the trainers, but it will be a terrible matchup against the gym leader, so there's that. Butterfree and Parasect were great at their role of inflicting sleep. Butterfree's Compound Ice Sleep Powder and Parasect's 100% accurate Sleep Powder were fundamental for a lot of these battles, protecting Pinsir and Scyther while they did their thing. Scyther was great, filling the same role as Pinsir as a setup sweeper, with its speed being higher than Pinsir, but its big disadvantage being its move pool. While Pinsir gets Brick Break and Earthquake, which are amazing coverage moves, Scyther gets Wing Attack and Steel Wing at best, with Slash being up there as well. But the coverage is terrible, especially against the Elite Four, and Venomoth being the great special attack it is, being tanky enough for me to use it as a Toxic Staller as well. Overall, they all fill their roles perfectly. Could this have been possible without Pinsir? Well, yes, it will be stupidly hard and exhaustingly reliable on luck, As a matter of fact, I put Pinsir to be acquired after the second gym because without Pinsir, Watson is almost impossible to beat, as you have to rely on Paras. Yes, Paras, because it only evolves at level 24 and Watson's Ace is at 23. I use level caps if I'm leveling up with red candies. To get a lot of Rock Smashes, defense drop, and that's just a poor strategy, giving Paras stats. So, is it possible? Technically, yeah. Will I do it? Absolutely not. So, that's the video. If you guys have any suggestions for more runs, leave them below in the comments and remember to subscribe for more. Hope you all enjoyed watching. Remember to never stop being yourselves and peace.